What is up, guys? The regular's back, and we have another movie review for y'all. This time we traveled all the way to Shreveport for this movie. It wasn't in Ruston.
Holy.
It wasn't in Monroe. So we traveled up here for this. What was only one showing.
One night premiere.
At 7:30.
Yeah.
We're sitting in a Whataburger parking lot in Shreveport. Yeah. What did we watch?
Terrifier 2. Now, Clay hasn't seen the first one.
I have not.
I watched the first one back in like 2018 when it came out, I think.
Yeah.
Been excited for this one ever since, and it kept getting delayed, you know. And then it finally came out, limited release in theaters, and it basically picks up right after the first movie, which I'm sure not many people have seen it.
No, never even heard of it until about a week ago.
Yeah, and the clown gets, well, spoilers for the first one, he gets resurrected after getting killed in the first movie.
They made a sequel, so that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's him causing more chaos, and he targets this girl and her younger brother. And you kind of watch the movie, you kind of realize that there's some kind of connection there, it seems.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and the movies, they're kind of like throwbacks to the 80s horror movies where...
Yeah, like at one point I asked him, I'm like, is this set in the 80s? Because there's the music you hear, it reminded me of Stranger Things, where there's just, it's got that just off-putting vibe to it.
Yeah. But
it's also a little upbeat and like disco type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And but then I see a flat screen TV, I'm like, that's not the 80s.
Yeah, it's like today's horror, it's not as gory and stuff. Like there is some.
Now this one is one's gory.
They're probably,
this one's gory.
For modern times, they're probably the goriest horror movies that they are.
Yeah.
And that's taking it back to like to the 80s and how a lot of them are like that, where it has over the top gore, and then like the people are somehow still managing to survive what's happening to them.
Yeah.
Which there's plenty of that in this.
Yeah, it's like you can't really, you just kind of have to suspend your belief with a lot of stuff, especially involving Art, the clown.
Yeah, when people are getting like their face peeled off and they're still able to yell and stuff. But
yeah,
a lot of, if you got a weak stomach, it's gonna be really rough.
Yeah, and
watch this.
I'm gonna say I didn't really know what I was getting myself into at all.
Yeah,
Hunter kind of told me the synopsis on the way over here, like what he is. He said he doesn't speak, so I honestly thought it was gonna be a silent movie. I didn't know that anyone was gonna talk, and then apparently there's just a whole freaking story. But it honestly wasn't very scary to me.
Yeah, I mean,
it's more disturbing, and yeah, if you have a weak stomach for blood and stuff, it's going to be tough to watch. But I never really felt uneasy.
Yeah. The first movie definitely set the character up, like how he doesn't speak. I think that's a really good choice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And when he's just staring at you from across the room,
just smiling, laughing at you,
like. Just put yourself in their position.
If I was in their position, I'd be done.
I'd
be done. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of comparing it to the first one, I'll say it's a step up in every department. Like the acting is way better. That's
what I was gonna ask. Is how was the difference in almost an indie film to now a like big time studio film? Yeah. Did it mess up the horror aspect? Was the first one scarier because it was more indie? And now that it was big time, was it less scary?
No, I think it pretty much kept the same. Like it was this one was definitely funnier than.
I laughed my butt off.
Yeah,
I laughed a lot.
But the first one had that too. But I guess since this movie's almost an hour longer,
yeah,
it's long.
That's
my one That's like probably my one problem with the movie. It definitely feels pretty long.
Yeah, and it feels long, but I wouldn't necessarily say it like.
There's not much that I would say you have to cut out.
Yeah, but I think the problem with it is just like there's almost too many times where it's just the camera's just sitting on her in her room, and it's just like it might be a 5-minute scene when there's the only content that really matters in that scene would be done in a minute.
Yeah.
But they just kind of leave it going and make it uneasy and everything, and that just sets the vibe of Art the Clown, and you never know what's about to happen next.
Yeah. I really liked the girl. She was
was
really
that her
good.
First movie?
No clue. I didn't know who she is.
I mean, because in the beginning it said introducing somebody. I didn't know if she was the one.
It's probably the little girl.
Yeah, but the girl, she was great, and the guy, he was okay too. Good cast though. I gave it an 82 out of 100.
I gave it an 85. It just step up from the first one, even.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I don't know, if I had to like watch one again, I would say I'd watch the first one first.
Really?
Not because it's better. It's just it's not near as long. And for movies like this, like I don't know.
Yeah, that's before I didn't even plan on coming to this. Hunter just didn't have no one else to go with, so I said I'll go. And before I kept saying it's a 2 hour and 15-minute horror movie. There's no shot it's going to be good. Because whenever I hear that, I initially go to It 2. Mm-hmm. We went and watched that. It was like 2 hours, like 35 minutes.
Yeah, it was
very
a long movie.
Big letdown.
Yeah, it was. Big
so since then, I always say horror movies need to be hour 45, 2 hours tops.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I wouldn't say the length affected this really. I had a blast watching.
I was never bored.
No, definitely not.
But for it just to be that type of movie and being that long,
it could drag at certain scenes, especially when it wasn't involving.
It wasn't him killing somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. There could have been almost too much story. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was great. I would say go watch it, but I don't know how.
Yeah, it's gonna be on streaming at some point.
Well, on what though? Like Tubi?
It's a Screenbox exclusive.
Okay, whatever that is.
Exclusive.
Yeah. So go to Screenbox, I guess. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about that? We went and watched Paddington 2 before this.
Yeah. So
at the boardwalk.
Completely different film experiences.
Yeah, we watched 2 sequels. One of a bear, a British bear, and a loving family.
Yeah, I'm now a believer in the bear.
Yeah, and then we went and watched a killer clown. Yeah. Probably the 2 most polar opposite movies we could have watched. What was your score for Paddington?
81.
Okay, I gave it a 90 out of 100. I love that movie. I love that bear.
Really good.
Love that bear. I told you. All right, well, I think that's it for us. Yeah, let's go. Go Braves, baby.